A journey through the lives of Hollywood's most mysteriously unmarried icons. In an industry obsessed with love stories, there were a few stars who lived their real lives off-script, choosing solitude over vows, freedom over rings. These are the icons of old and modern Hollywood who never tied the knot, not by accident, but often by choice. Let's step into the spotlight of 20 such stars, legends who walked the red carpet alone. Greta Garbo, the star who chose solitude. Greta Garbo, the enigmatic Swedish-born actress, was one of the most iconic and mysterious figures of Hollywood's golden age. With her haunting beauty and soulful eyes, she captivated audiences in films like Camille, Anna Karenina, and Grand Hotel. But off-screen, Garbo was famously private, even reclusive. She uttered one of cinema's most memorable lines, "I want to be alone." And she meant it, both in character and in life. Despite rumored affairs with actors like John Gilbert and whispers of royal romances, Garbo never married, nor did she publicly acknowledge any long-term partner. Her withdrawal from public life at just 36 only deepened the intrigue. She retreated into a life of quiet anonymity in New York, rarely granting interviews, avoiding crowds, and keeping her private world tightly guarded. For Garbo, solitude wasn't sadness, it was strength. She once said, "There is no one who would have me. I didn't want to be owned." In an era when marriage was expected, especially for women, Garbo defied the norm. She was a woman ahead of her time, an icon who proved that silence, mystery, and independence could be as powerful as any love story. Clifton Webb was the embodiment of sophistication and wit in Hollywood's golden age. Best known for his roles in Laura, The Razor's Edge, and Cheaper by the Dozen, Webb brought intelligence and charm to every performance. But beyond the screen, he was just as intriguing, a man who never married, never followed Hollywood's expected path, and never explained why. Webb lived with his mother, Mabel, until her death in 1960, a fact that became both endearing and mysterious to the public. The two were inseparable, and Webb never seemed interested in romantic attachments. While rumors about his private life swirled, as they often did for lifelong bachelors, Webb remained unfazed, fiercely private, and unapologetically single. He was openly cultured, refined, and famously sharp-tongued, often playing roles that mirrored his real-life persona, elegant, aloof, and brilliant. In an era where actors were often molded into conventional images, Webb was different, completely at ease being who he was. Clifton Webb never married, never chased headlines, and never needed a love story to define him. He was, in every sense, his own man, a rare figure who walked alone, yet never seemed lonely. James Stewart, Hollywood's reluctant romantic. Before becoming a devoted husband later in life, James Stewart spent much of his early career as Hollywood's most eligible bachelor. With his signature drawl, sincere charm, and boy-next-door appeal, Stewart captured hearts on screen in classics like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and It's a Wonderful Life. Yet off-screen, he remained single well into his 40s, an unusual path for a major star of his era. Fans and tabloids were fascinated by his reluctance to settle down. Despite high-profile romances with actresses like Ginger Rogers, Olivia de Havilland, and Marlene Dietrich, Stewart seemed content focusing on his career and independence. He once described marriage as something that might get in the way of flying and acting, two passions that defined his life. That changed in 1949, when he surprised everyone by marrying Gloria Hattrick McLean, a former model and widow with 2 sons. It was his first and only marriage, lasting until her death in 1994. By then, Stewart had become as famous for his quiet domestic life as for his film legacy. Al Pacino, one of the most powerful actors in modern cinema, has spent decades commanding the screen, yet never stood at an altar. Known for iconic roles in The Godfather, Scarface, and Scent of a Woman, Pacino's intensity and depth made him a legend. But when it comes to love, he's taken an unconventional path, deeply involved, but never married. Throughout his life, Pacino has had several high-profile relationships, including with Diane Keaton, Beverly D'Angelo, and Lucilla Pollak, and is a father to 3 children. Despite these long-term connections, he's never taken the traditional step of marriage. He once said, "Marriage is a state of mind, not a contract." Pacino's personal life reflects a deep desire for freedom, something he also brings to his characters, restless, passionate, and rarely bound by rules. As someone who grew up in a broken home, marriage may have felt more like pressure than promise. Now in his 80s, Pacino remains unmarried, a deliberate choice by a man who's always marched to his own rhythm. For him, the deepest commitment has always been to his craft, not convention, making him a true Hollywood original. John Cusack, known for his sharp wit and thoughtful performances in films like High Fidelity, Say Anything, and Being John Malkovich, has always carved a unique path both on and off the screen. Unlike many of his Hollywood peers, Cusack has never embraced the idea that marriage is the ultimate milestone in life. Instead, he remains a proud bachelor, embodying a quiet rebellion against societal expectations. Cusack's approach to life and love reflects his philosophical nature. He often challenges conventional norms, valuing personal freedom and individuality over traditional commitments. In interviews, he's hinted that he doesn't believe marriage necessarily equals fulfillment or happiness, and that people should define their own paths without pressure to conform. Despite his bachelorhood, Cusack is known to be deeply caring and loyal to those close to him, showing that commitment can take many forms beyond legal or romantic ties. His choice to remain unmarried isn't due to a lack of relationships but a conscious decision to live authentically on his own terms. In an industry where celebrity marriages and breakups are constant headlines, John Cusack's life is a reminder that happiness and success don't always require walking down the aisle. Jon Hamm was one of Hollywood's most eligible bachelors, tall, charming, and effortlessly suave. Best known for his role as Don Draper in Mad Men, Hamm became the face of tortured masculinity and understated charisma. Off-screen, he maintained a long-term relationship with actress Jennifer Westfeldt, lasting nearly 18 years, but they never married, a decision that intrigued fans and the media alike. Hamm often spoke about his hesitancy toward marriage, especially given his difficult childhood. After losing his mother at a young age and witnessing the instability of relationships around him, Hamm admitted he wasn't sure if he believed in the institution of marriage. Instead, he focused on his career, building a name as a respected actor rather than a tabloid headline. For much of his life, he embodied the modern idea of relationship without ritual, committed but not confined. In his 50s, Hamm did eventually marry actress Anna Osceola in 2023, surprising many. But his decades-long bachelorhood had already defined him as someone who lived thoughtfully and on his own terms. For years, Jon Hamm walked alone, stylishly, privately, and without apology. Diane Keaton is one of Hollywood's most celebrated actresses, an Oscar winner, a fashion icon, and a woman who has always danced to the beat of her own drum. Known for her quirky charm in films like Annie Hall, Manhattan, and Something's Gotta Give, Keaton's off-screen life has been just as captivating, especially her decision never to marry. Over the years, she was romantically linked to legends like Al Pacino, Woody Allen, and Warren Beatty, yet none of those relationships led to the altar. And Keaton never seemed to regret it. She has said, "I don't think I was ever marriage material," a reflection of her deep sense of independence and self-awareness. In her 50s, Keaton adopted 2 children as a single mother, proving that love and family come in many forms. Her life challenges the conventional narrative that marriage is a necessary chapter in a woman's story. Keaton's enduring charm lies not just in her talent but in her authenticity. She never settled for society's script, she wrote her own. In a world obsessed with coupledom, Diane Keaton stood out by showing that fulfillment and freedom often go hand in hand. Marissa Tomei, known for her radiant screen presence and effortless versatility, has long been admired not just for her talent, but for her fiercely independent spirit. With an Academy Award win for My Cousin Vinny and acclaimed roles in The Wrestler, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, and the Spider-Man franchise, Tomei has built a career on playing complex, authentic women, much like herself. Despite a few high-profile relationships, including with actor Logan Marshall Green, Tomei has never married, and by her own admission, never felt compelled to. She's spoken openly about rejecting the notion that marriage is a requirement for a full or successful life. In one interview, she explained, "I'm not that big a fan of marriage as an institution. I don't know why women need to have children to be seen as complete human beings." Her choice reflects a deep commitment to autonomy, career, and personal growth. Tomei has never tried to fit the traditional Hollywood mold, and that refusal to conform has only strengthened her appeal. In an industry where image is everything, Marisa Tomei stands apart, a woman who never needed a ring to feel whole, and never apologized for living life her own way. Katharine Hepburn was more than a Hollywood actress, she was a symbol of fierce independence, intelligence, and unapologetic authenticity. With a career spanning over 6 decades and 4 Academy Awards to her name, she redefined what it meant to be a leading lady. Bold, sharp-tongued, and never one to follow the rules, Hepburn lived on her own terms, both professionally and personally. Despite a famous, decades-long love affair with actor Spencer Tracy, Hepburn never married. Tracy remained married to his wife until his death, and Hepburn respected that boundary, keeping their relationship mostly private. She once said, "I have not lived a woman's life. I've lived a man's life in a woman's body." Her words reflect her fearless choice to put self-respect and independence before tradition. Hepburn wore trousers when women were expected to wear dresses, spoke her mind in an era of politeness, and rejected societal pressure to marry or have children. She focused on her craft and lived a quiet life off-screen, often at her beloved family home in Connecticut. To this day, Katharine Hepburn stands as a timeless example of how a woman can be powerful, fulfilled, and unforgettable, all without a wedding ring. Kim Novak, best known for her iconic role in Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, remains one of old Hollywood's most intriguing figures. Rising to fame in the 1950s and 60s, Novak captivated audiences with her ethereal beauty and enigmatic screen presence. Yet beyond the camera, she chose a life that defied Hollywood's typical fairy tale narrative. She never married. Novak's love life included a notable romance with legendary entertainer Sammy Davis Jr. Their relationship was widely publicized at the time but did not culminate in marriage. In fact, Novak's manager confirmed in 2024 that she never wanted to get married to anyone. This deliberate choice reflected her desire for privacy and independence, which she fiercely protected throughout her career and afterward. After stepping away from the spotlight in the late 60s, Novak led a quiet, intentional life, focusing on art and her personal interests rather than public relationships. Her refusal to conform to Hollywood pressures about marriage and public appearances made her stand out as a woman who valued freedom above all. Kim Novak's story reminds us that glamour and success don't require traditional milestones, and sometimes, the most captivating stars are those who choose to remain wonderfully unattached. Tilda Swinton is one of the most distinctive and fearless actresses of her generation. Known for her androgynous look, eclectic roles, and bold artistic choices, Swinton has carved a niche far from Hollywood's mainstream. Her performances in films like Orlando, Michael Clayton, and Suspiria showcase her willingness to push boundaries, both in character and in life. Off-screen, Swinton embodies the same unconventional spirit. She has never married, choosing instead a lifestyle defined by personal freedom, artistic exploration, and deep relationships that don't fit traditional molds. She once described herself as someone who values fluidity, in gender, in roles, and in life choices. Swinton's private life is deliberately low-key. She shares a close partnership with artist Sandro Kopp and is a devoted mother, but she refuses to conform to societal expectations about marriage or public labels. Her choices reflect a modern understanding that commitment and love don't require a wedding certificate. Tilda Swinton challenges Hollywood's conventions with every step she takes. She shows that true artistry and authenticity come from embracing individuality, and that walking alone can be the boldest statement of all. Charlize Theron is one of Hollywood's brightest stars, an Oscar-winning actress known for her powerful performances in films like Monster, Mad Max, Fury Road, and Bombshell. Beyond her talent and glamour, Theron's personal life stands out as a testament to modern independence. Despite being a devoted mother of 2, she has never married and openly challenges traditional views on relationships. Theron has spoken candidly about her perspective on marriage, calling it just a meaningless relationship marker. For her, love and commitment aren't defined by legal documents or ceremonies but by deep connection and respect. She embraces her role as a mother and partner on her own terms, prioritizing personal freedom and authenticity over societal expectations. In an industry that often equates a woman's success with marriage or motherhood, Theron breaks the mold. She proves that it's possible to be fulfilled, loving, and complete without following conventional scripts. Her life is a bold statement that happiness and success are personal journeys, not status symbols. Charlize Theron's story inspires many to rethink what it means to live fully, showing that the strongest bonds aren't always tied with a ring. Lauren Graham, beloved for her iconic role as Lorelai Gilmore on Gilmore Girls, is not only admired for her wit and charm on screen but also for her clear stance on marriage off-screen. Despite being in serious relationships over the years, Graham has openly expressed that she has no desire to be anyone's wife and doesn't see marriage as essential to happiness or fulfillment. Graham's perspective challenges traditional expectations placed on women, especially in Hollywood. She values independence and personal growth, and she's spoken about how societal pressure to marry can be limiting. For her, the depth of a relationship matters far more than legal status or public ceremonies. As an actress and author, Lauren has built a life rooted in authenticity and self-awareness. She embraces the freedom to define success and love on her own terms, without adhering to conventional norms. Her openness about rejecting marriage has made her an inspiration for many who believe in choosing their own path. Lauren Graham's journey reminds us that love, commitment, and personal happiness don't always need a wedding band. Sometimes, the most fulfilling lives are those lived on your own terms.